The Dragonborn had seen much in his time. Never had he seen a talking dog. But that is what he hunted this day.
You are exactly what I was looking for.
Did you just talk?
Yeah, Skyrim is now host to giant flying lizards and two-legged catmen. And you're surprised by me? Yeah, I just talked, and I'm continuing to do so. You see, my name is Barbas, and I have a problem I think you can help sort out.
So, what could a dog need help with?
My master and I had a bit of a falling out. We got into an argument and it got rather heated. He's kicked me out until I find someone who can settle our disagreement. That's where you come in.
Sounds easy enough. Let's go find him.
Thank you. Now, since he banished me, Vile's been rather weak. He can't manifest very far from one of his shrines. I know there's a cult that worships him at Hamar's Shame. We should be able to talk to him there. If this works out, I'll make sure you're rewarded. You just don't trust any offer he makes you, okay?
And so the Dragonborn found himself in pursuit of Barbas, the loyal hound of the Daedric lord Clavicus Vile. He picked flowers along the way because, truly, what else was there to do in the province of Skyrim? Nothing at all, I tell you. Yet again we are reading from the tomes of the Dragonborn's Daedric exploits. Yet again the writer knew little of pacing and has decided to include this long, uneventful walk. We'll try to skip ahead a few pages. It says here he picks more flowers. The dog has stopped though. But now the dog has continued. What a poorly written book this is. I don't know why they even included that bit of dialogue. And so on they travelled to Hamar's Shame. The wagon was wobbled. Barbas had stopped for a moment. No one was quite sure why. Barbas continued. It was then that Pixen took an arrow to the face, and he knew that it was time for battle. He saw a bandit highwayman above, but knew just the thing to deal with him. The highwayman fell and took damage from his fall. Pixen readied his legendary mace and crushed. Another bandit was nearby. He could smell him. Pixen did not know the way up the tower. He was briefly confused by a rock that looked like Barbas. But once that little matter had been dealt with, Pixen prepared to smash the plunderer into the dust. Unfortunately, he had trouble navigating the rocks, but fortunately... Alas, it would appear the plunderer had not fallen from his hiding place, but in fact he had.
You won't leave here alive!
As it happened, the Dragonborn was going to leave here alive, and so Barbas happily trotted on. And Pixen trotted on behind him. Barbus was a somewhat annoying traveller, constantly checking around to make sure the Pixen was still following, as though he would do anything else. He briefly stopped to woof and then continued. Pix and Pooks hoped that they would be at Hamar's Shame soon. He decided that he would check his map to make sure. Unfortunately, that was of little help. Suddenly, Barbus vanished. Pix and Pooks was rather disconcerted by this fact. It would appear that the dog had somehow gotten a significant lead on him.
Both your life and land, and now...
You're interfering with official form or business.
Pix and Pooks decided that that conflict was indeed
Walk away now.
none of his business. He had no love for the Thalmor, but had since given up on his murdering of them on sight, due to the fact that ungrateful Stormcloak prisoners would report him to the guards. No doubt after an easy influx of gold. He witnessed a strange spinning longbow. Truly, this was a strange day. It could only be the influence of Clavicus Vile, or perhaps Barbus himself. He thought he saw the dog in the distance. He hurried after him. It was a rather sprite little creature, and Pix and Pooks, in all his heavy armour, wielding his massive warhammer, found it difficult to keep up. He was now somewhat disgruntled to find that Barbus was going the other way. This was perhaps the least impressive Daedric adventure he had ever been privy to. But as they scaled some kind of slope, Pix and Pooks hoped that they might just be getting closer. Suddenly, a wolf. Suddenly, a wolf was no more. They trundled through the tundra, the trees standing proud and unblemished by the snow. Over the slope, Pix and Pooks saw another path, not a shrine in sight. In fact, he was at Helgen, the very first town he had encountered upon his travels to Skyrim. Could the shrine be hidden in Helgen? It would appear not, as Barbus merely moved around the town, which was now bandit territory. He had literally no idea how long this journey would last. It could be another couple of minutes. It could be entire hours. There was simply no way to know. He had grown tired of Barbus constantly turning around, and so had decided to stride alongside him, in the hopes of curbing this behaviour. Barbus, it turns out, was a fast little runner, and Pix and Pooks had to sprint just to keep pace. He thought he saw a crackle of lightning in the distance, but it was probably a trick of the light. How the person who wrote this book knows that, I have no idea. Then again, how the person who wrote this book knows any of this, I have no idea. Unless, of course, it was written by the Dragonborn himself. The plot thickens. As they continued their journey, the weather grew harsher. And Barbus yet again teleported, but this time only a few feet away. Pix and Pooks could keep his bearings then. a hunter.
I've been hunting and fishing in these parts for years.
Of course, the hunter saw only an ordinary dog stroll by. He knew nothing of the creature's true nature. At this point, Pixen was beginning to wonder whether or not Barbas was leading him on a wild goose chase. If only he had told him how far away the shrine was. Still, if nothing else, this handy venture allowed him to restock upon his alchemical ingredients, of which he already had an abundance. Hamar's shame, they had arrived. Pixen was overcome with relief, and he stepped inside to Hamar's cavern. He readied his defences just in case he would find hostility within these halls, but with Barbas at his side, he hoped that would not be the case. Suddenly vampires. He should have known. Pixen was no stranger to dealing with vampires though, and so the creature fell with little effort. Barbas led on, paying no heed to stealth or caution. Pixen decided to follow his example. Another vampire. Could this have been the reason for their falling out? Had Barbas somehow allowed a coven of vampires to take possession of Clavicus's shrines? It was hard to say. Barbas suddenly seemed unwilling to continue. Another vampire it was, or rather vampire thralls. Somewhat different beasts, it can be said. With a few hearty swings of the warhammer, one went down almost immediately. He recharged his crusher with the souls of those he had bested before. A Night Lord vampire.
Just taste.
Pixen was afraid of the strength of this creature. Decided to end this problem before it became a problem. The vampire slipped far on the ice, but Pixen had managed to paralyze the creature, and with a few more swipes, it was dead. Its imperial thrall made into dust. Pixen now relied on Barbas to search the way. He searched the ash pile as was his habit. And then he took pursuit of Barbas once more. More vampires. It had fallen. An ancient vampire and his bandit thrall. Pixen knew which one to prioritize. The vampire would stand no chance now that his mace had taken hold. He helped out Barbas with his foe. It was amusing to see a vampire's thrall still proud of his Nord heritage. A few more whacks and thwacks, and the thrall was down. Barbas continued towards the shrine.